She left home on a quiet summer afternoon for a simple bike ride, something she had done countless times before. But within hours, her disappearance would ignite one of the largest search operations her city had ever seen, drawing police, helicopters, volunteers, and an entire community into a desperate hunt for answers. What no one knew then was that the truth behind her vanishing involved a predator hiding in plain sight, a witness who saw more than she realized, and an investigation that would stretch across years, cities, and countless dead ends before finally exposing the darkness lurking behind an ordinary face.
On August 6, 2003, 27-year-old Ardith Wood, an academically gifted PhD candidate visiting her family in Ottawa, set out on a routine afternoon bike ride that should have lasted no more than an hour and a half. Earlier that morning, she had gone for a run, helped prepare dessert, and discussed plans with her mother for an upcoming shopping trip. Borrowing her younger brother's bike, she reassured her mother she would return quickly, expecting nothing more than a peaceful ride along the familiar trail surrounding their home. But as the sky darkened and an unexpected rain began to fall, Ardith still had not returned. Her family, sensing immediately that this was not normal for her, decided to search the nearby bike paths, hoping she had simply taken a longer route or found cover from the rain. They searched for hours, calling her name, cycling and driving along the city's extensive bike trail system, yet finding no trace. By nightfall, with 6 hours gone and panic setting in, the family contacted the police. At first, officers hesitated to treat the situation with urgency, taking the position that Ardith was an adult who might have gone somewhere on her own. But her family insisted this was not a possibility. Ardith was responsible, communicative, and deeply connected to them. She had never disappeared before, and given her careful planning nature, the idea of her vanishing voluntarily made no sense. The next morning, authorities finally began a coordinated search effort. A command post was established near the Aviation Museum, a central point connected to several major bike trails. Volunteers poured in from across the city, distributing flyers, searching wooded areas, and joining in what became one of the largest volunteer-driven search operations in Ottawa's history. Mounted police, aviation units, and military personnel joined the effort. For days, teams combed through dense forest, scanned the riverbanks, and followed every possible path. Despite massive manpower, not a single piece of evidence surfaced during the early hours of the investigation. Meanwhile, disturbing information began reaching the police. Several women came forward reporting encounters with a suspicious man along bike trails near the river. Their descriptions were eerily similar. A good-looking, athletic man who approached casually, then suddenly became aggressive, attempting to grab them or pull them off their bikes into the woods. These encounters had occurred in the same areas Ardith was believed to have traveled that day. Police formed a composite sketch based on the victims' descriptions, though they initially kept it out of the public eye to avoid overwhelming the investigation with false sightings. But a breakthrough came from a teenage girl who had been near the river that afternoon. She reported seeing Ardith and a man arguing near the trail. She described hearing a scream and noticing the man forcefully leading Ardith into the trees until both disappeared from view. Terrified, the girl did not follow them, but she did find something unusual: a hat left hanging on a branch and 2 bicycles lying on the ground nearby. Her description of the man aligned closely with the composite sketch. As investigators learned this new information, they shifted their search deeper into the wooded riverbank area. Divers were deployed to scour the water, and 4 days after Ardith's disappearance, they made a crucial discovery: a bicycle submerged in the river. When checked, the serial number confirmed it was the bike Ardith had borrowed from her brother. The discovery intensified fears and narrowed the search. Soon after, a call came from a nearby payphone. The man on the line claimed to have accidentally killed a woman and buried her body near the river. While his information lacked detail and credibility, the call could not be ignored, adding another layer of urgency to an already desperate investigation. The following day, police dogs searching near the riverbank alerted handlers to a specific spot in the woods. There, officers found a badly decomposed female body, unclothed and partially concealed. An autopsy confirmed it was Ardith Wood. Despite decomposition, the cause of death was determined as drowning, indicating she had been forcibly held underwater until she lost consciousness. Her clothing was missing, suggesting the attacker had removed or taken it. While signs pointed to sexual assault, decomposition made it impossible to confirm fully. With the discovery of Ardith's body, the case shifted from a missing person investigation to a homicide. Police released the composite sketch to the public, along with specific details, including a distinctive eagle tattoo reportedly seen on the suspect's shoulder. Hundreds of tips flooded the phone lines. Men matching the general description were interviewed, and anyone with a similar tattoo became a person of interest. But no breakthrough emerged. Investigators began suspected that Ardith's killer might also be connected to previous attacks in a nearby town, where young women had reported similar assaults. Even the suspicious confession call originated from that area. Still, investigators found no concrete link. Witnesses continued reporting sightings of the suspect, claiming he had been seen in the park multiple times the week before Ardith's disappearance and even once after her body was discovered, possibly returning to tamper with evidence. These leads, however, by the end of the year, the suspect pool had grown to 400 men, yet none could be definitively tied to the murder. One individual, however, stood out among the names repeatedly mentioned: 25-year-old Christopher Myers, a local man with a criminal background and a bird tattoo on his shoulder matching witness descriptions. Myers lived in the same area as the payphone used to make the confession call. When police questioned him, he behaved strangely, smirking, being evasive, and displaying an unsettling confidence. He agreed to a polygraph test and passed, leaving investigators frustrated. With no physical evidence linking him to the crime, they had no grounds to detain him. The case began losing momentum. Leads dried up. The $50,000 reward for information went unclaimed. 2 years passed, and the investigation turned cold. Then, in September 2005, another disappearance shook Ottawa. A young woman named Jennifer Teague vanished under suspicious circumstances. Fears spread that the same predator might be responsible, though no definitive connection surfaced. The Wood case seemed frozen. But the truth was far from finished with investigators, and the man who had slipped through their fingers was about to resurface in the most unexpected way.
In May 2006, nearly 3 years after Ardith Wood's murder, the case suddenly reignited when police in North Bay, Ontario, received a report from a young woman who had narrowly escaped an attempted assault. She described being followed by a man who tried to drag her into the bushes, matching a pattern eerily similar to the attacks in Ottawa before Ardith's disappearance. The attacker fled when she resisted, dropping his cell phone in the process. That single mistake changed everything. When investigators traced the phone, they discovered it belonged to 25-year-old Christopher Myers, the same man Ottawa detectives had questioned early in the Wood investigation. The detective leading the North Bay case recognized Myers' name immediately, remembering the unresolved suspicion that had never been fully dismissed. Within hours, this information was passed to the Ottawa police, who now had a fresh and compelling reason to re-examine Myers' connection to Ardith's murder. When officers revisited Myers' earlier alibi, cracks quickly appeared. During the initial investigation in 2003, Myers had claimed he was home the entire day Ardith disappeared, supported by a statement from his landlady, who believed she had seen him during the relevant time frame. But upon re-questioning, she clarified she had only seen him in the morning. After that, she had no idea where he was. That meant he had hours unaccounted for, hours during which the murder could have occurred. Investigators then tested the timeline themselves. They traveled by the same route Myers could have taken, from his home to the park where Ardith was last seen and back again. The timing matched perfectly. There was nothing preventing him from being there during the critical window. With the alibi weakened, detectives brought Myers in for further questioning. This time, his behavior began to betray him. Under pressure, he admitted he had been in the park the day Ardith disappeared. He then offered a story that made no sense. He claimed he spoke with her briefly, but that she later drowned accidentally after being startled by another woman. Detectives immediately recognized flaws in his story. The details he described matched media reports, not actual investigative findings. When pressed, he backtracked, saying he had made the story up after reading news articles. He denied seeing her at all. Then he denied being in the park. His contradictions mounted. Detectives administered another polygraph, which he failed. Still, without physical evidence, the case remained circumstantial. But investigators now had something they previously lacked: a pattern of deceptive behavior and a suspect whose movements, history, and behavior aligned too closely to the crime to ignore. As they dug deeper into his background, a disturbing profile emerged. Myers had endured severe trauma from early childhood. His biological mother had exposed him to drugs and alcohol before birth and had physically abused him throughout his early years. After being adopted, he struggled with extreme behavioral issues, including episodes of rage, public nudity, and speaking to himself. Despite these issues, he managed to build a superficially stable life as an adult, working steady jobs and maintaining relationships. But beneath that normal facade, there were darker behaviors. Several of his ex-girlfriends came forward describing sudden violent outbursts, unpredictable rage, and a strange obsession with cycling alone through parks. They also noted something critical. Myers had a habit of giving himself temporary tattoos. One girlfriend specifically recalled him drawing an eagle tattoo on his shoulder, the same tattoo witnesses reported seeing on the man who abducted Ardith. This detail became a turning point in the investigation. Although no permanent tattoo existed, the temporary one fit perfectly with his past behavior and the composite sketch drawn from multiple victims' descriptions. Investigators now had a powerful alignment of evidence: a matching behavioral pattern, matching witness identification, matching physical description, a weakened alibi, repeated lies, and a new attempted assault that mirrored past attacks. 5 months after his arrest in North Bay, investigators conducted an intense interrogation session with assistance from a highly experienced investigator from the United Kingdom. Their strategy was to let Myers talk and expose his inconsistencies. At first, he denied everything, then returned to his earlier fabricated tale of Ardith drowning accidentally. When the contradictions became too obvious, he recanted again. Shockingly, he even drew a map of the park area where the assault occurred. Later, he guided investigators toward a specific area of the woods, but abruptly claimed he did not recognize the surroundings. His shifting stories, partial admissions, and strange cooperation made the investigators more confident he was the offender, even though he refused to deliver a clear, consistent confession. As detectives examined other unsolved cases from the years surrounding Ardith's death, they discovered several sexual assault files with nearly identical patterns: a friendly approach, sudden aggression, attempt to drag victims off their bikes or into isolated areas. Many victims, when shown a series of photographs, selected Myers as their attacker. Under mounting evidence and psychological pressure, Myers finally broke. He confessed to 5 separate sexual assaults in Ottawa, offering details only the attacker would know. These confessions strengthened the case against him for Ardith's murder by showing a long-running pattern of predatory behavior that escalated over time. By early 2008, prosecutors believed they had enough evidence to secure a conviction, but they also understood the circumstantial nature of the case made trial unpredictable. To ensure accountability, they offered a plea agreement. If Myers pled guilty, the first-degree murder charge would be reduced to second-degree murder. Myers accepted. In his plea, he admitted he had approached Ardith on the trail, forced her into the woods with the intention of assaulting her, and drowned her in the river when she resisted. He also pled guilty to a series of violent sexual assaults, publicly confirming what investigators had long suspected, that he had been attacking women long before and possibly long after Ardith's death. He received a life sentence with eligibility for parole after 10 years. When he sought parole in 2015 and again in 2020, the board denied him both times, citing his high risk of reoffending and lack of genuine remorse. Even behind bars, authorities believed he had likely committed more assaults that remain unreported or unsolved due to the nature of his victims, many of whom never came forward. Ardith Wood's murder sent shockwaves through Ottawa. A city once considered safe suddenly felt vulnerable. Women became fearful of walking or cycling alone. Community-led safety patrols and group rides emerged across parks and trails. The case highlighted just how difficult it can be to solve violent crimes without physical evidence, relying instead on witness testimony, behavioral profiling, and the persistence of investigators who refused to give up. Though justice eventually came, the impact of Ardith's death continues to echo through the community, serving as a reminder of both the fragility of safety and the power of perseverance in the face of darkness. If you're still here watching, thank you. Before you go, please subscribe to our channel, Dark Frame Stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another real-life mystery like this.